I'm on my way on time. Shoot, I think I may just go to the gym or go for a jog. So lately, I've been seeing all of these dating advice guru shorts between men, women, the battle of the sexes. It has just become so like, where are you getting this stuff from? You hear the women's side of, the men ain't this, and then you hear the men's side, the women ain't this, and then you hear another side, well, people are not looking for relationships. Some have given up relationships, and then some want to say if you over a certain age, you washed up, and then you got the so-called I found love again, which is not my husband or my wife. It's a soulmate, my second marriage, which is adultery. And I'm just like, I mean, I literally was listening and I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not dealing with none of this BS out here. I'm so glad I'm in what I'm in and I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, me, myself, and I. You know, I can sit sometimes and contemplate about the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Dad, going there like, really, Bus? You really was going to side swipe me? Mm. Anyway, just like this bus, didn't even care that somebody else was in the lane. But anywho, so I'm up here listening to some of these things, and I'm just like, what is wrong with people? So I'm listening to this one guy. Listening to what he has to say, and he basically was like, that some women have emotional issues because first of all, women, when you're younger, you're more in your prime, and then as you get older, you got more mileage on you, and I'm like, but wait, hold on. I don't know what's up with dudes that are 40 something years old, pushing 40 or 25 plus or 30, whatever you want to call it, and y'all be talking about women y'all same age, talking about you got mileage, but she was dating jokers like you. You're the same age. Like you, you're not lesser than the grave. You're not farther away from the grave. Thinking about grave, you're not that far from the grave. You really aren't. And I'm just trying to understand, like, what is up with people mentality, thinking that you all washed up because of the men you've been with, and now you're older. But look who's talking. Like, you're older too, and you still out. A lot of it has to do with who you originally are. A lot of it has to do with who you originally are supposed to be with. Your husband, your wife. I told you the major issue between this whole dating, people can't seem to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, is because living in the times when men should be lovers of themselves. Everybody's for self. And some people are burnt out. Some people just don't trust because they were hurt. But that's on both ends. And the crazy part about it is, if you thought the generation that you grew up with, when this is the generation that I grew up with the generation that before cell phones came into play, we had beepers when I was a teenager. But before then, you used to write a note. Can I get a chance? You used to write a letter. You used to sit on the phone until 1 o'clock in the morning hearing somebody's voice. That's the generation that I grew up in. This new generation, or this new wave of dating, y'all don't even talk. Y'all text. Y'all could be in the same room sitting at the same table texting. I remember years ago when me and my husband first went on a date, he was like, just please don't whip out your phone and start talking to people, while we're on a date, because he thought it was disrespectful. And he was right. Nowadays, people looking at their phones, they doing selfies, they all into me. They gotta take a picture of their plate, what they eating. They gotta take a picture of side profile, what they wearing, the car he pulled up in. You just let everybody know your business. I don't know, something's wrong with it. Something is I literally had to say, I am so glad I'm not dealing with the dramas of the dating scene because it is jacked all the way up. And everybody seems to be a guru of, I know the reason why this didn't work out. I already told you what the reason was: adultery, fornication, adultery, no commitment, no forgiveness, no restoring of the family. And when the family grows to see mom and dad never got married, it's like they're reliving this in their own area of their life. Why get married if my father never got married? Why get married if my mama never got married? Why get married when both of them got a divorce? My father he remarried on my mother, so I have commitment issues too. My mother, she doesn't think that her marriage was real. This is a generational thing. First of all, it stems back where you have to teach your children while they are young the commandments of God. You have to teach them to be sacred before they, you know, get married. They have to be virgins. Then they get married. But see, one of the guys, he's giving that advice: when I meet you, I'm going to get to know you. You're going to get to know me. I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take you this. And then I'm going to want to try you. I'm like, what? He already talking about sleeping with the woman before he even think and consider putting a ring on her hand. And the thing is that these people want tradition, good loving tradition, marriage and happiness, but they skipping everything. You're skipping the simple fact that you got to court, you got to date respectfully, and then after that it's the betrothal, engagement stages, then it's marriage. Y'all want everything beforehand. And then those of y'all who want marriage, you secretly are in love with a married man, and he has a wife, and you don't give a daggone it. You want what she has. You want what she has instead of getting your own. You want what she has so bad. It's like the dating advice out here is messed all the way up. Y'all look at these dresses. Aren't these cute? Hold on, let me see if I can pull. Look at them wedding dresses. Aren't these nice? But yeah, so and then again, I mean, like I said, I'm hearing these shorts, and everybody got something to say about something. Everybody got, but nobody really wants to talk about what it stems from the family, respecting one another, forgiving one another, loving one another. You don't even want to do that. You want to look at the faults of somebody. And I mean, for this guy to be sitting up here giving this so-called advice, like, when you look at this woman, I mean, she got more miles on her nails. Okay, and you don't, sir? I'm sorry, you both were born in 1981, and she just happens to be so much older than you. She just happens to be so much older than you and the same age as her. And you can sit there and say, well, a man could do this, please. A man, he gonna die just the same way as she gonna die. He may just die sooner, and sometimes that be the case. That be the case. But then I'm like, I'm trying to understand, what's your point, sir? What's your point? If she's still struggling to find love, and he is too, and he's in the same age category, then something went wrong where both of them missed the bar. And then now you got the younger ones that's coming up, and they're going through the same cycle. But see, their cycle is a little bit more different because, like I said, I'm about to be 40 come September. And yes, I went all my years. I'm about to be 40 come September. And I'm glad I grew up in the generation that I did, because we learned how to communicate. When you were in love with somebody, known. You didn't have to take all of these flicks and let everybody know what's going on in your business on display. We were the generation where it was cool to have a group of friends and we all chilling. We all said, okay, we're gonna hang up around, we're gonna hang out over here, and we had a good time. We were more athletic then, we ate more healthy food because crazy. I don't even know how long I was talking. My phone got disconnected. But anywho, nothing new is under the sun. Nothing new is under the sun. It's just the more and more I hear about these the foolish advice that are being given to people. There was one where the lady was she was saying it was the type of men that men can't stand. And one of them was she used in the line, so you gonna get my nails done? I did that. I used to do that back in the day. And let me tell you why I did that. Because I had my own job, my own place, my own money. But what I wanted to know was, were you going to be a good provider for me? And I didn't care who you were. If I was talking to you and dating you, oh, I want to see if you're going to get my nails done. And that was often, I can get your nails done. I mean, it was only back then. It was like $20. What was that? Even my husband at the time that was I was dating, I don't care, white and all, you gonna get my nails done, and he got my nails done too. Because to me, it's to see whether or not you're going to be a good provider. That was nothing. And at the end of the day, when we were going out, I was paying the bill too with no issues. Felt so much in love and even put his name on my bank account. So I don't want to hear like, women are trying to whatever. Sometimes we want to know whether or not you're going to be good providers. Have you ever heard of the eagle? The eagle, she flies to the highest depths, and the male eagle follows behind her, and she takes this swig, and what she does is she drops it, and that male eagle has to go down and try to grab it. And she wants to, it's basically like she's putting him to the test, like, if I drop an egg, or you gonna catch it, what you gonna do? And it's like, I don't get it. It's like, sometimes, I don't get it. I just don't get it. When I was in the dating scene, it was nothing to go somewhere and somebody's just like, how you doing? You guys look really great. Look, drinks on me. Nothing. If I went out to dinner, he was paying for it. And he was tipping. I mean, I would go out on dates back in the day where the tips would be like $100 just because. And I had to learn, I didn't know for the longest time I was over tipping. Because when you grow up with that type of class and I guess that type of balling, it's nothing. But then, now is, nah, why I gotta do that? I would think as a man, it would be nothing to put in work. What is that? That's nothing. I remember a man telling me this. It was an older man, and he was teaching, not teach. He was talking to some ladies at the workplace. We had to be like all in our 20s at that time, and we was talking about relationships and stuff. And he was like, "It ain't nothing for a man to pay for a meal. That's nothing." And I said, well, and he broke it down. It's nothing for a man to pay for a ticket, $300 to fly you out to see him. But if he's not about commitment, if he's not about marrying you, then all he's trying to do is just to get into your pants. And this guy was talking real game. This older man was talking real game, telling you to be on your guard because all of those things that you think is worth it, all those things that you think is worth it, it's really not. So I mean, I don't know. I just it's a different type of whatever out here. And the men got to me, the men and women, it's like they just going back and forth, like, y'all don't do this and you don't do that and y'all don't do this and you too old. And first of all, I could be good by myself, and second of all, I mean, men should be lovers of themselves. It's like, if the devil don't want y'all to procreate and have children or get married, he is all up in the midst of this. I'm talking about all up in the midst of this. Every time you turn around, somebody got a short on some dating advice. You know, I would like to hear men saying how to go and look for your wife, how to go and look for your wife, how to become a virtuous woman. Women, come on now. How to put in work. I'll tell a man, it don't matter what you look like. I don't care how pretty the woman is. As long as you're putting in work to win her hand in marriage, and I mean bring out the bags. I'm talking about the gifts, the flowers, the showing that you're a good provider, a loving man. I don't care how beautiful she looks. She can be on a scale 1 through 100. She could be 100. As long as you putting in that work and you loving her, you can be you can look a hot mess, but as long as you love her, she will choose you. She's not going to choose somebody that's like, because nowadays women are really waking up now. Like, they really realizing, like, I want somebody that's going to love me. I want somebody that's going to love me without the makeup on, with the makeup on. And the men, I don't, some guys I'm starting to see is that it sounds to me that they have what's the word I want to say? They don't have the confidence. They don't have the confidence. I don't know, but like I said, y'all need to be looking for wives. Like, for real, y'all still out here, and you can't be taking date advices from people that's telling you to give up the cookies and give up your body. God is looking at this. You're going straight to hell for committing fornication. You need to be literally following and listening to folks that are in a one relationship, one flesh relationship with their husband and their wife, because that's what a lot of folks are really striving to have, is marriage. If somebody's out here just trying to have a one night booty stand, this ain't for y'all. This is not for the whores and the thoughts and the players. This type of advice should be for people who really want to be married, who really want a wife. I mean, what type of advice are you taking from folks? Is just basically saying, what's wrong with you women today? I mean, are these people that's trying to get married? I'll say in a heartbeat, especially to American women and men, if you can't find something in your back door, and it's not in your backyard, if it's not in the next state, if it's not in this country, you can look at other countries. There are plenty of eligible men and women that will love you, that know God and will love you like Christ loved the church, that will submit to you like the church submitted to Jesus Christ. Like, you don't have to look around in the same old area where fools and people are still thinking like, what are you gonna do for me? You're not a high value person. I don't miss none of that. I don't miss nobody. I've been there before with somebody put me down. I've been there before. Why don't you wear your hair long? Why don't you wear your hair short? Why don't you change your hair color? Why don't you lose weight? I've been there, man. I don't miss none of that. I don't miss that. See, the thing is, especially with me and my situation, I don't have nobody. My husband never said anything mean or bad to me. He never said anything mean or bad. When I remember my husband, I remember he used to kiss me on my forehead. He used to say kind things. But if he was having a bad day, or if I felt like I upsetted him, it would crush me. And I think, what? I think my daughter gets that from me, because when she thinks that I'm upset with her, she just literally breaks down. Like yesterday, my daughter got ketchup. I don't even know how long we was I was just not talking to y'all. But what I was trying to say is that I don't miss any of those things. I've dated folks before I got married that basically put me down. I'm talking about put me down. I remember buying this guy some shoes, and this dude went off on me. Where'd you get the money, huh? I'm like, Heck, I borrowed it from my 401k. Whatever, you lying, this, then I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't even do nothing nice for nobody anymore. I mean, if I could tell you the stories or somebody that's trying to put you down and make you feel like some crap, man, and then it's like your day is revolved around this person. Like, if they're happy, you're happy. If they're mad, you're mad. If they're upset, you're upset because you're trying to get everything right again. Like, oh, like I don't miss it. It's when I think about the issues of the men and women today and what they have and what they expect of another person, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I saw a couple the other day. A husband seems very nice, very cool, but the wife seemed very stern. I don't know what it was about the wife. She seems very unconfident in herself. That you don't even have to say nothing. It's just that you can cut it with a butter knife of how thick it is, because you're not confident in yourself, so everybody around you seems to be a threat in your life. Like, you can tell. And I'm just like, I don't miss that. I just don't. I don't miss that. I don't miss folks feeling like, who is that you talking to? Who are you on the phone, going through your cell phone and all of that? Don't miss it. I don't miss, not having a conversation with somebody. You sitting in the same room and the person is on their cell phone. Don't miss it. And then they have people around them giving them this horrible advice. Horrible advice. Don't get rid of your wife. Just get you a girlfriend on the side. Just get you somebody on the side. What? Get you somebody on the side. I was listening to something today when the wife basically wrote, talking about she found out that her husband's living a double life. He has a family somewhere else. And she found out going through a Facebook, making an account, and saw that he was out of town. Same time he told her he had a trip, and the whole time he got a family somewhere else. But she loves him very much. Should she just be quiet and ignore it? Does she want to say something? No, you need to tell him he committing adultery. You need to tell him. And the woman he's supposed to be having another life with, she needs to know too, so they both won't burn in hell. But anyway, it all roots to this: fornication and adultery. That's the root of it all. Fornication and adultery. If you eliminate fornication, everybody out here saving themselves until they get married, right? Uh-huh. And if you eliminate adultery, you know that everybody is everyone is seeking their own husband, their own wife. And if you eliminate this divorce, then everybody is with their spouse until death. So you won't see this high number of divorce. You won't see this high number of division in the family. It makes sense. That's why you have to stick with God's plan. The best advice on dating is what Jesus gives. The best advice on dating is what, Paul gives. You know, Nevertheless, in order to avoid fornication and burn, let every man have his own wife, let every woman have her own husband. You cannot take advice from these people out here that's wanting somebody to love, but then what is it that you want? Just be very honest. What is it that you want? You want marriage. But with marriage comes all of these things. The bed is not defiled between a male and a female, husband and wife. Marriage bed is not defiled. All of these benefits come into play, but y'all doing it way before you even think about putting this person on the equation of saying I do. And some don't even care. They honestly don't care. They look around them and they say everybody else has went and got a divorce career, so why would it make it any different for them? Why would it be any different for them? Anyway, why would it be any different for them? But I like I said, I'm getting so frustrated listening to these things, and some of the stuff I'll be like, this don't even pertain to me. But I'm just like, y'all are really like, and it's so messed up out here because when people go to try to seek a teacher to teach them advice, it's always the folks who've been divorced 5 times over. Like remember with Steve Harvey, think like a man. But you left your real wife and cheated on her with the second wife. Then you dogged the second wife and got married to the third wife. And we supposed to think, who the heck is taking notes from you? You failed the grade, sir. You failed the grade. You are committing adultery. It's like, how can you take advice from people who are doing the opposite of what you're striving to have? Aren't you striving to be in that marriage forever until death do you part, right? So you do know that means one marriage, but see, a lot of people don't even want to hear this because a lot of folks are still out there that's still looking. They're either put away, divorced, or they're on their third, still trying to search for Mr. Right, and the whole time your husband is sitting up the street, and he may not be that Mr. Right, but that's the Mr. that you married. You thought he was right back then, but there's no love, there's no forgiveness, and yet you want to do redos. And then you have the men that saying, see, a woman like you got to look at her mileage on her now. She got more mileage on the car. I mean, I want you to think about it. You got a 1967 Camaro. Let's just say that. We got two 1967 Camaros, both of them. And here you are in the year 2022. One is pink and one is blue. And the blue one is saying to the pink one, you got a lot of mileage on you. And the pink is looking at the blue like, you don't. I just don't understand that. I do not understand that. I don't know. I guess some people just feel like nothing new is under the sun. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. We got to get advice from is getting advice from people who's not married, and I'm talking about people who are not in a real marriage. I'm not talking about adultery. And some of these people be having all of these books, and y'all be running out to get these adulterous books. How can I find the same thing she had? If you plan to turn your face against God and do the opposite, then you can do that, but you want to gain a lot and lose everything. And the most important thing is your soul. But nobody wants to really talk about that. We'll have a million views on adultery and sleeping around and humping and committing all types of sins, but nobody's going to give you the real view or what you really are striving to have is a healthy family, a healthy husband, wife, and children to come out this union, to be a part of a godly society. I mean, yeah, they always say that if the spouse cheats on you, you can remarry. Please, I'm just baffled that people think this way. My husband cheated on me, so that's grounds for a divorce. No, boo. Like when y'all was dating, you had a whole bunch of times to walk away when y'all were dating. But once y'all became one flesh, you can't walk away when you're one flesh. You joined. You're no longer two, you're one flesh. You want to divorce, you're no longer two, but you're one flesh. And it's crazy because you got these women and these men that are bickering back and forth. Well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And it's just like, they're bickering back and forth. And the whole time some of these older men out here, majority of them got wives. They didn't put away or divorced or she divorced or whatever, but they got living wives. And people are really starting to wake up too, because it's not working. That whole dating off and on and having a 3-year relationship here and 5-year relationship there and a 7-year relationship, like, that's for the birds now. You want to settle down and be with somebody that know you and gonna be there for you. And if you break down or you fall, they're gonna be there to lift you up. You are supposed to be investing in your livelihood with the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life, that you can have children with and grow. And I'm gonna tell you something else too that the government don't want you to know, is that, when there's two that's bringing in a household, you can do so much more. Look, I'm trying to tell my oldest brother, I love you, but it's time for you to settle down. It's time for you to settle down, bro. I mean, the woman that he knows, they got so much. When I tell you they got so much history together, it goes 20 years back. They were showing me photos, and I'm like, y'all look like babies. I mean, this woman is a well-kept woman. She got a doctorate degree, but even if she didn't have that, she has excellent conversation. She ain't no bonehead. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, so you still trying to hold on to the player card, man. It's time to get rid of that because you're getting older. You know what I mean? You're getting older, and I'm your sister, but I'm not going to be running all the way up to whatever to be checking on you. Your wife needs to be doing that. Divorce is not permissible in the case of infidelity. I hate to tell you this, but your husband can go around here and say he can't. Well, he can't. That's called adultery. But if he went around here and committed adultery with 1 million people, guess what? You're still one flesh to him as long as he lives. Nobody wants to hear that. If your wife went out here and she started sleeping with over 10 million men out here, as long as she's still alive, you still want flesh with her. Period. I mean, it don't get no better than that. Because what God is trying to teach male and female is that you're one flesh. And in this walk is repentance and forgiveness. And if you can't abide by those rules in your own household, what God entrusted you with, for everyone to have their own little government. And what do you mean by that, Ramona? Your own wife, your own husband, your own children, your own rules and regulations. If you walking away and you throwing in and you giving bill of divorces is only putting away. One flesh is until death. I have said this in all of my videos. I have said this in all of my videos, that is marriage merging. And I'm not talking about sexy second marriages. That's adultery. If he got a living wife and he gave her a divorce, or she gave him a divorce and he remarried, that's adultery. If she remarried and she was one flesh with her husband, that's adultery. It's not permissible. The only way that you're able to remarry in the Lord is if one of them dies, because the body is no longer one flesh anymore. They're no longer one flesh because the other is gone. The other is gone. People be thinking that. Like, come on, when y'all was in the betrothal stages or whatever like that, y'all should have got all that dating mess out of your system. And what do you think? Do you really think it's that easy, that if somebody cheats on you, then that's grounds for divorce? No, not in God's book. No, not in God's eyes. You're one flesh. You know how many people cheat on God? You know how many people cheat him out of going to church, cheating him out of praying to him, going and start believing in other false fakenesses out here? Do you know how many people don't even have a conversation with God, don't even come back to God, and yet God is still like, I'm here. Lean not to your own understanding and always acknowledge God. Now, y'all got to get over that because this person cheated on me. Trust me, God is holding them very accountable. The woman who lay down with your husband and your husband has committed adultery against you. And if they both don't repent of that, then they're both going to hell. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. He don't need you to run and put in papers for nothing and start doing tit for tat, because adultery is a very serious crime. It is very serious. This is the thing about divorce. Now, remember when they asked John, who did they ask? Paul, if the unbeliever wants to stay, let him stay. Which means, in other words, us as believers are not supposed to put in for a divorce. But if the unbeliever leaves, let them go. How do you know you're going to be able to save your unbelieving spouse? Because you have to understand this about putting in for a divorce decree. If you put in for a divorce decree on your husband, and somebody thinks like this man is free and available and starts dating him because you put that in, you know you can be held liable for that as well. Because remember what Jesus said to the male: if you put away your wife and shall marry another, you doeth committeth adultery. That's why Jesus says, do not put away. Putting away is to send away, and also a bill of divorce goes right along with that. So we're not even to do those things. Now, there are situations where people, this is a life, death threatening situation. And I get that, you know what I mean? But we have to understand this, is that we have to acknowledge the simple fact that as long as your husband or your wife is still alive, you are bound to them. So your part is to not date or be with anyone. You can either remain unmarried or reconcile, says Jesus. If you are put away, I'm put away. My husband put me away. He gave me the boot. He gave me the boot. How many years? 7 years ago. Jesus said, I'm not, Jesus said this, to remain unmarried or reconcile. Jesus said, whosoever should put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, meaning you can only put away your wife for fornication. Because remember, back then they used to kill them if they found out that they weren't virgins. So he said, okay, you can put her away for fornication, and shall marry another, doeth committeth adultery. Meaning, if you marry somebody else, you commit adultery. And anyone who marries her that is put away doeth committeth adultery. There was only one reason that Jesus allowed you to do that, and it was off of the pretense of putting away. And the reason why Moses had suffered them to do this was because of the hardening of their hearts. But Jesus said it was not so. For the beginning, he created the male and female. So Moses basically said, just give her ability instead of killing her. Because you mad she ain't a virgin because when y'all was engaged, she was knocking the boots. And now you're one flesh. So in order to sever this, you have to kill her. So instead of killing her, put her away. And Jesus said, okay, you can put her away. And if you marry another, you commit adultery. And if anyone who marries your put away wife commits adultery. So he said, whosoever, and Jesus said, saving for one cause only, and that was backing up the clause of fornication. So, no, you're not supposed to do that because it's a cause and effect of everything. It's a cause and effect of everything. When I look back at my parents, my father left and he committed adultery, and he started on his way and wasn't coming back home. And my mother, she said, in order for her to get help, the only option they told her to do was to file for divorce. So in my mind, I'm looking at both of y'all. Both of y'all was wrong. Two wrongs don't make it right. You went ahead and you committed adultery and you went ahead and filed for it. You didn't allow God to work through it. You don't know what would have happened if you did not put those papers in. It wouldn't have gave another woman the eye to say, "Oh, well, you're still married." But when those divorce papers are in, that other woman said, "Oh, you must be free," because she was ignorant and did not know the law of God. And I know it's like going down the black hole or whatever, the rabbit hole. But that's why when I was going through my divorce situation, I wouldn't sign anything because I was showing God, okay, Lord, this is, I don't know what it was when it came for them wanting me to sign something, just my stomach just sank. And I remember God gave me this dream and he showed me that I was going to be handed divorce papers. But in my dream, I took the papers and I tore them up. And in real life, that's exactly what happened. But I never signed off on anything. Not that it would have made a difference, but it was basically like I'm staying fast. I'm staying fast to God's word. My husband did give me a bill of divorce and he sent me away. And I thought, because I'm this so-called innocent party, that I can remarry because my husband didn't want me. I'm the innocent person. Hey, until I read the scriptures where Jesus said that if you're put away, which is me, to remain unmarried or reconciled, and anyone who tries to marry, or anyone who marries the put away wife doeth committed adultery. And then that's when I said, so you telling me that person would get on trouble for messing with me? Yes, they would. And I was like, ain't this about a mess? Ain't this, this is, I could say it's not fair, but then I honestly would just be, it's permanent. We knew it was permanent. Y'all all knew it was permanent when y'all said I do. When you get married and everybody like congratulations, because everybody know this is permanent. There's no turning back. You've given up your player card. You're no longer going to be in the dating scene. This thing is serious. That's why you have these weddings, these big things, the preacher come, the witnesses. Like, this is some serious stuff, y'all. What did y'all think y'all was doing? And anyway, when we go back to these people that's trying to give this advice, what people are, you still have it in you. You were created in the image of God, male and female. He created you for this cause. Shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and those two shall no longer be two, but one flesh. Wherefore, if God has joined together, let no man put asunder. God joined male and female. He did not join same sex, and he daggone sure didn't join adultery. There's a name for folks who have a living husband and a living wife, and they remarry, and that name is called adultery. That's why Jesus says that there's two different sins here. You put it away for fornication. Fornication is single. But if you marry another, you commit adultery. That's because you're one flesh with the woman you want to put away. Do you get it? And y'all sit up here and you listen to these folks that trying to spit you out this advice on how everybody needs to be. Before anybody goes and walk down their aisle, there's one thing they need to understand is permanent. Permanent. I don't care what she does, what he does. I need you to write it down on a piece of paper. The most worst thing they could ever do that will have you to divorce. You can write it down. Now I want you to set it on fire, because as long as they're still alive and you are alive, they're still your wife. That's still your husband. You can remain unmarried, but you cannot marry another. You can remain unmarried or you reconcile with your husband or your wife. He didn't say, oh, you remarried, because you're already married. They was in shock. His boys was in shock. The disciples was like, what? Run it by me, run it by me. And Jesus had to say, does this offend you? Some of y'all offended as you find out your wife from 30 years ago is still alive and that's still your wife. Some of you are offended that you can't go out and get somebody else. Some of you are offended that you tell me that the man I'm with, I'm committing adultery because his wife is still alive. Some of you are offended because you don't want to give up this woman that's somebody else's husband. Some of you are and you are raging like wolves, like of Satan himself, because how dare you? How dare you tell me this? The advice that people need to be given about relationships is that if you want something pure, if you want quality, we gotta go back to the teachings of God, to his commandments of Jesus Christ. Finding a wife is a wonderful thing. A man who finds a wife, not adultery, not somebody else's wife, but a man who findeth a wife, findeth a good thing and obtains favor from God. It should be I wouldn't say it should be a sport for men out here, but it should be something that would drive you to do good for your household. It should be something to know. And I'm going to tell you, let me get back to what I was talking about. When you have a husband and a wife that are building things together, you can get things done so quick. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and we were talking. I'm like, when you have that relationship with, y'all can do so much together. You can save. You're not straight. You can get a bigger house. You can go on vacations. You can make a business. I don't care if you want to chill on the beach, because y'all can do it. I mean, if you're planting a garden, you can do it as twice as fast. If you're mowing the lawn, somebody can do the front and somebody can do the back. Man, there's so many things to do as a husband and a wife together. Raising your children, not the way that the world wants them to be raised, but how God wants them to be raised. Man, it's a wonderful thing to be married. It's a wonderful thing to have a husband. It's a wonderful thing to have a wife. The devil somewhere put it in your minds that it's a shameful thing. He told you and lied to you to give it. He told you to give up your future. And now some of these old heads, man, you could tell back in the day, you look at their photos, they were fine. But you gave up your wife for the world. And now you old and don't got nobody visiting you. You was chasing after wind. You gain nothing. You gain nothing. That's the most joy of it all. It's just you can sit on your front porch on your rocking chair with your old lady and her old man and all your great grands running around here. You gonna get old, fellas. You gonna get old, women. You know what I'm saying? But how wonderful it is to be old with somebody of the wife of your youth, the husband of your youth, when you can both sit back and be like, these youngins have no idea what a VHS player is. Remember when we used to go get the bootleg one, that big old tape, and the youngins wouldn't even know what you cracking up laughing about, but you know it. When somebody can be like, man, your grandfather back in the day, he used to do, they can witness and be like, I was there, you know? Stop trying to make people, I don't know what's going on with folks. And they got women out here that's just giving in the towel of everything, just looking the other way. You just remember there's still good men out here. And if you can find it, from the country that you're from. There are good men around this world. This world is so big. You can pray and say, Father, could you send me my husband? If he's in this country or out of this country, can he find me? Like you don't have to be closed minded. And even with the men too, there are a lot of women out there who are longing to be a really good wife. And as a wife, you really want him to just really love you, you know. And as a male, as a husband, you really want your wife to submit to you, to respect you. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that if it's healthy. Women are looking for a protector and a provider, and men are looking for someone to cherish them and love them. That's it. I mean, just why don't you be truthful about it instead of putting on game or whatever like that? Why don't you just be truthful about it? I remember one time, and this was years ago, I had a conversation with my husband, and the real truth about it is that, when we got to talking, so my feelings was hurt. And I remember he said that really hurt my feelings. And I felt so bad because I was like, oh my gosh, I really did try to crush his ego. I really was putting on this whole hardcore whatever. And I had to apologize, and my whole outlook on that was totally different instead of being so rah rah rah, you know what I mean? And that's the thing with women is that we're not designed for that. We're designed to be, we're the weaker vessel. You know what I mean? Like, and instead of me clapping back or being smart, just be truthful. That really hurt my feelings, man. Like, I'm really hurt by that. Instead of doing tit for tat, I'm gonna hurt you, you gonna hurt me. Some of y'all got issues where you holding so much and you boggling so much inside that you take it out on the other person. And you don't realize that the other person isn't built for that type of rough play. That the other person is really hurt. That the other person really wants to make you happy. And so you need to repent because you don't deserve that. You really don't. You walking around with a funky attitude, and everybody sitting up here bow down and kissing you, and what God is looking at all of this and witnessing these things. I say it right now, like, you got to get somebody that their heart is really on God for real. Because if you get a man that fears God and he loves God, he will love you, and he would treat you right because he fears what God would do if he don't. And the same thing with the woman. If the woman loves the Lord with all her heart, and she submits to Christ, she's going to submit to you. She is. But this is some of the things that need to be taught in these relationship guru videos. You can tell the character of certain people, just the way they move, the way they act. And I saw one guy, he was sitting up here doing these videos with these different women, and they were like, I ain't ready for a relationship, I want a relationship. But I'm looking at the women that you're going to. She looked like she got on some straight I don't know what in the world she had on. You might as well just say she just had on some tights. You know what I mean? She just had on tights, and she looked like she had on some outdoor slippers too with these tights. Then you went to another one too. I'm looking at the way she dressed, and you going through all of these women that lifestyles are not lining up with God, and you asking them, what do you think about a husband? Husband, what? They don't even look like they trying to settle down for anything. They're not even trying to settle down in the seat. So why would you even go to women like that? Why didn't you go to the woman that basically, she's very nice, very well put, very well mannered? How come you didn't go to her and answer that question? Huh? How come you didn't go to this lady who looks very nice, looks presentable, she ain't got it hanging all over the place? How come you couldn't go to this woman and ask, are you looking for someone to settle down with? Instead, you went to the birds. You went to them. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I think it's your view of the different. There are two type of people out here. It's either good or evil. Which one you gonna choose? You if you if I was in the dating scene and I'm looking, I'm not supposed to be looking, but if I'm checking out and I'm seeing the different guys that's out there, I would go to somebody that's well groomed, nicely cut, well dressed, pants not sagging. I daggone don't want to see gold chains and a mouth full of gold and hair all the way down in his back. That's not, no, no. No, I would look for someone that's very okay. This looks like somebody who can have a decent conversation with. Not somebody that's gonna be like, yeah, I just did 20 years. No thanks, sir. No thanks. That's me. And I wouldn't keep going to those particular class of folks and asking them questions about marriage when I know daggone well that's not even on their mind. That's not even on their mind. So that's not even fake the funk. So why even go towards those type of women? You need to search for Christ like people. Christ like people. See how kindly he treats his pets. Is he yanking the dog, kicking the dog down the street, putting the dog in the basement, or whatever? If he ain't kind to his daggone, and the Bible talks about a man who's kind to his animals. Look, watch how he treats his mother. He cursing at his mother, or is he a mama's boy? Watch and see how does is he a hit? Is he a loner, or did he hang with a crowd of men and can't make a decision on his own because his man's in them gotta tell him what to do? Same thing for her. How she keep her house when you walk in there? Is it clean? Is it neat? Is it funky? How she dressed when you take her out on a date? Is it all hanging out? Watch her mouth. Does she curse all the time? There, I got a friend. I love her dearly. I love her dearly. But there's certain areas I cannot take her to. Why, Ramona? Because she will curse like a sailor. She will curse like a sailor, literally. And I've had to correct her on that. And I'm like, look, we all pushing 40 now. If you ain't got to the point where you can't learn how to tame your tongue and get rid of that cursing, then I love her, but there's certain places that I can go with her, and other places you're not going to be invited to the ball. You're just not, darling. You're just not. The same thing with the guy. You meet a guy, you start having a conversation. If he start cursing and you already know, like, it's not even, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that you need to be looking for. At the end of the day too, you gotta remember nobody's perfect, so don't look for perfection. But pay attention to detail. You know? The Bible says a man who don't work, he don't eat. And if the man ain't working, he don't need to be looking for nobody until he got a job to have enough to I don't care if it's $20 to take you out to the movies. And again, it's not hard. It's not hard. He said the hardest pill to swallow is the innocent party. Why should innocent burn with passion/lust to be married but can't be celibate for years with no intimacy or affection while spouse is remarried? Touche, touche to that. But you know what? I know where you coming from. I know, but you know what? Pick up your cross and move forward, sister. That's all I gotta say. because it is one of those things. I think that's the most cruelest thing that a man could do is marry someone and put her away. Marry somebody and put her away. Same thing with the women too. You marry somebody and you put them away, knowing that these scriptures, that what God's word said is so true, that they cannot marry another, cannot be with another. And on the 20th will be my 10-year anniversary of walking down that aisle back in 2012. 10 years. And a couple of days, what's today? What's today? The 18th? No, yeah, today the 18th. In 2 more days, on the 20th, it'll be my 10-year anniversary. Yeah, I should celebrate for being faithful to somebody who don't even think I exist. Don't even think I exist, and that is a hard thing. That is a hard thing because you can't date, you can't be with anyone else. You know. But also too, I think it's a huge testament to our walk as Christians, as believers. You know, one of my church members was telling me that her daughter is about to get married, and I'm like, oh, she said she just graduated from college and now she's starting her life, her new life with her husband. She said they don't wait anymore. But I was thinking to myself, how wonderful a testimony of her parents, who are one flesh marriage. And then not only that, my testimony and walk knowing that my husband is still alive and I did not remarry nor date or be with anyone because of the commandments of God. See, this helps their walk when they get married. This is not just about us. This is about our children's children. It's about a society of believers, of seeking the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness. And in this walk is a part of that. All of it. And it's one of those things where, you know, I look out there. I understand what Paul was saying. Y'all need to be like me and just see God. Because even though I'm in my situation, and sometimes when I look at God and I'm just like, God, it's like I feel my father like, is it really, are you really lacking anything, Mom? I'm like, no, I'm not. I be like, thank you, Lord. I can jump in my bed. I can, come and go as I please. I'm doing everything in the Lord. I'm doing everything in the Lord. And if I wanted to get googly eyes or listen to a really nice love song, I could reminisce about my husband, about those days. You know what I mean? In a positive way. But it ain't, I'm not hurting nobody. I'm not causing nobody's house to fall. I'm not hurting myself. I'm not going against God's will. And I'm daggone sure I'm not, how can I say, I'm not lacking anything. And the only thing that it has was missing is my husband. But he's not missing. He put me away. So I guess he's just away. He's just away. Will he ever come around? Don't know. Back then I thought, oh, yeah, he's definitely going to come around. But now it's just, it's been 7 years, and now I'm going on the 10-year anniversary. And some people look at me sideways and crazy. And a lot of those people who used to talk a lot of that crap back in the day, talk a lot of trash about me back in the day, those folks are now divorced or went through an up and down relationship, or they got tested in their own, and now you see how serious it is. Not that I wish that on anyone, but I see everybody else's relationships, and I'm just like, don't look like you done got anywhere, huh? Don't look like, don't look like you got married, and it's sad because again, people in this time you see people with the hardening of hearts. But I'm also seeing people really yearning to want to be married, and that's males and females. They're really wanting that, and they're really wanting to be a part of something. But you gotta watch out who you get your counsel from. You got to watch who you get your counsel from. It needs to be biblically. It needs to be Jesus. You got to learn how to strive to be like him, and you got to look for the woman that you should be looking at has to love the Lord, have to love, not some possessive or what you want to call it, a wife who has insecurity issues. You know what I mean? But if you married that, you married that. You married that, you married that, you married that. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because if I see one more thing on advice, but ain't nobody giving advice on how to get out here and find you a wife. So I know you, as the men out here, all I can say is this: is that you need to really check out what is it that you really want. Write it down and ask God to present you to the, because there are women out here who are praying for husbands. And don't listen to these dudes out here. Don't listen to you. You ain't gonna get married. It's like they all want to be on an island together. Let all these dudes be on an island together while you are in the comfort of your wife's bosom, while you eating grapes, while you and her going on vacations, living it up, having a good laugh together. You know, you're not by yourself. You got somebody to love you, like Jackie Wilson, to be loved, to be loved. Oh, what a feeling it is to be loved. Don't listen to these dudes out here talk about love is for the birds. No, you get no. You ain't got time for that. You're not gonna be with your mans in them, until 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Come on now. You got to branch away and have your own jurisdiction. Have your own wife. Populate the world with you and her. That's the reason why God created her, not your friends. If you're detaching from your father and your mother, and how close were you with your father and your mother, because you are of his seed and out of your mama's womb. If you're detaching from them to be close to your wife, nobody is supposed to be on her level. But anyway, right, during difficult situations, they jump ship. They really do, and didn't even realize that the big blessing was going to come when you both learn how to overcome the division. Husband and wife, when you learn to love and forgive one another. That's what the Bible says. Do not deprive each other. Like, do not deprive each other, and don't separate yourself for long periods of time, because Satan will come to try to deceive you both, because he doesn't want you to come together. That's why the husband ended up, he looked and he lusted and he fell. And then the wife found out, and she's hurt and unforgiving, and she got rid of him. And now the kids are affected by both of these decisions. You watched what he went through, and you said, I'm never gonna get married. And you spoke it over your life, and you've been having issues with finding a suitable wife, because you spoke those things over your life. I'm never going to find a wife. You need to speak it over your life. God is going to give me a God-fearing wife, a good wife that will love me all my days. You need to speak it over your life. God is going to send me my husband that's going to love me all of my days. There are good men and women out here, and if you cannot find them in your backyard, down the street, in the same zip code, area code, then you can find them in a different state. If you cannot do that, the world is so big. You can find them across the daggone globe. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up on it, y'all. But anyway, watch out who watch out who you take your watch out who you take your advice from. Watch out who you take your advice from. Please don't take it from these people. Men don't do this. Women don't do that. They like this. Uh, I'm like, gosh, man, these people cry all the time. They just got nothing but bad things to say. The reason why women don't do this, and then when you hear the first thing they talk about, you don't hear them really talk about marriage. They just talk about relationships. And I'm an open person. I could be this and I could be that, but you don't hear them. You have to ask yourself this question, like, why are you attracting the type of women that you don't like? And sometimes it is literally the actual person. You have to change yourself. You have to be a new creature in Christ if you're looking for something. You know, what they say, a lot of these self-help books, and when you want to become something totally different, you have to think a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way. It's like being a horrible person and you're looking for a good woman. For what? Because you're going to just dog her. You got to become a good person to get a good woman, a good wife. That's allowing Jesus to change you. And even the same way with you. Like, sister, you got so much stuff going on. You got more drama than a movie. But you want a good man and you want this, but you got so much stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but why don't you free all that baggage up, and then you'll have more time to say, okay, I'm ready for this. You'll have more time. Anyhow, and I'm not saying that you have to. I'm just saying that sometimes we have to look at ourselves, because are you ready for the good thing? Because much is given, much is required. Are you ready to take this on? It's just like when you take on a baby, when you have a baby, your life changes. You have to tend to this baby, care for this baby, love this baby, spend time with this baby, nurture this baby, teach this baby. When you have that significant other, you have to take time with that person. You can't just be like that. There's just a mantle to just sit on the daggone, on the table. No. So you have to ask yourself, like, what is it that you want? And stop being intimidated by it. In this day, I've seen so many men follow this so-called men going our own way type of movement. And some of them, I would read the comments. I saw a beautiful woman and I knew she was pretty and she knew she was pretty too. But I ain't say nothing to her. I just looked the other way. Why didn't you say anything to her? Why didn't you compliment her? Why didn't you say the most cheesiest phrase? You shine like the daggone sun, the moon and the stars. You are a star. Can I please get your autograph with your telephone number right here, ma'am? Just that right there would have made someone's day, and like, oh, for real, thank you. And she would have been happy to get the number, but you felt like, I'm not I'm not going to be able to get her. So let me think down. I'm like, y'all not even trying out here anymore. Or maybe I don't need these guys. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just knew when when I was in it. Look, I'm not old, but when I was in the dating scene back in my day, back in my day, men didn't have a problem with saying, "How are you today? You look very nice. Can I get your number?" And then as you got the teenager, hey, hey, like they didn't have no problem with that. They had no problems. Now it's like silence to the lamb out there for some of y'all. But I mean, I guess this is a new whatever. But again, this is me looking with the binoculars on. I'm listening, being nosy. But that's, I'm on my other end. I got my own type of stuff I'm dealing with. But I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing that they're not being they're not they're not being honest. This is the reason why we are here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why God created us. He wants you to be married. He wants you to be married. He wants you to find a wife. He wants you to choose a husband, to settle down, to have children, be fruitful, and multiply. Teach your children about Jesus. Teach them about God. Keep his commandments. These are the reasons. This is something that the preacher needs to be talking about every single Sunday in order to strengthen a family, a community. Some people be like, that marriage stuff ain't whatever, but that's what it's all for. That's what it's all for. You're not going to be sitting up here dating back in the day. If a guy and if a lady and a guy was courting for a very long time, he'll be like, the father be like, what's your intentions with my daughter? Back in the day, somebody that messed up, you had shotgun weddings. You know, that's just how it was. And it was a normal thing to see the Brooks down the street. It's 15 of them. And all of them kids belong to her and him. That was normal. That was a normal thing. But again, the enemy came in and was like, you don't need to get married. You don't need to have kids. You can take care of this, take care of that. You ain't got to do this. You ain't got to do that. Then the preacher stopped preaching about it. The next thing you know, he started having more wives than you can count, and it just became a lost cause. And then everybody's trying to look and find, well, you got to go back to the source of things, and it's God. You have to, if you're trying to have this fruitful, enjoying life, you got to go back to the fruit of that. God loves us. He wants the best for you. I honestly think that I think that for every male there is a woman. There is a woman to be his wife. Because remember, when God created Adam, he put Adam into a deep sleep, and out of Adam he took a rib and he created a female. And Adam named her woman. This is the reason why no man can be called woman, because she came out of the man and the man named her woman. And when she becomes one, no longer two, she goes back into the man in which she came out of. So I have saw people give horrible advice. I saw one lady that was looking for love, And the lady said to her, do you think maybe you should lose some weight? Do you think if your significant other told you to lose weight? No, I don't think so. I mean, my thing about it is, what if there's a nice heavy set man the same as her and he loves a heavy set woman? Or what if there's a man who likes a big boned woman? Who are y'all to tell that she need to be a size 2 in order for her to be happy? There are a lot of fat men out here. Do you not agree? There are a lot of fat men out here. So for me to tell a woman that you need to lose at least 100 pounds and you'll be eligible for love, that's nonsense. Jesus don't need you to lose weight in order for him to love you. And again, there are big men out here. There are big men out here that like big boned women. And there's skinny men that like big boned women. So for me to give that type of advice is just nonsense. It doesn't make sense. But these are people out here that's giving these things. Well, if you need to do this in order for you to gain that, not nonsense. Anyway, I let this video run a little bit too long. I'm about to get on out of here. Marriage is definitely an honorable thing. That's what everybody should be striving for. And if you know what I know was coming, you better get yourself a wife. You better get yourself you better, if the man is good enough to be your husband, go for it. The Bible says to avoid fornication and burn, because you fornicate, you go to hell. But if you avoid it, to avoid fornication and burn, let every man have his own wife, let every woman have her own husband. This is an avoiding thing, so you won't go to hell. Right, that's why I didn't understand why that lady told that woman, and she seemed like a very nice lady. And I know I got a lot of big boned people in my family. I know some folks, and I'm just like, ain't nothing when they know how to cook, they know how to clean. I mean, they're good women. What do you? There are men who like big boned women, and there are men who don't, and there are women who like big boned men, and there are some women that don't. Like, there's different sizes. Like, not all men have walk around here with six packs and wearing a size. What's the 34? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are men out here who are big boned and they don't mind their women being big boned. There are different sizes out here. There are men who are tall. There are men who are short. There are midgets. Or you want to call them little people, whatever you want to call it. Everybody is not designed the same. But that's people's thinking, because you think that in order for you to have a true love, you have to be a certain height, age, you have to have a certain dress size, and if you don't have these things, then you're not eligible to be a wife. That doesn't make sense. And if you're married, you have to make sure that you always are in a size 2. That does not make sense. That's just like, in ancient China, they used to take women's feet and they used to bind them. They used to wrap them things so tight and put them in boiling water because they wanted their feet to be so small. Because if you had small feet, it means that you had beauty. These women were in pain for years. I'm talking about pain for years. And their feet look like pigs' feet because of what their parents did, and that was the ignorance of it. The same ignorance with India. You decided that, instead of us having girls, we'll kill off all our girls and have boys so our sons can take care of us. But then when they got older, they didn't have, it's like it's not a lot, it's a huge gap between the males and the females because you killed off all your females. You didn't get the memo. That was stupid. So it's a stupid thing to tell somebody that because you're heavy set, you're less inclined to have love. God created someone. She is a rib of some man out there. So, so it's just like, And it wasn't just the church. Yeah, that the church had a lot to do with it, but it also had to do with the enemy, Satan, because he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So he comes to steal the marriages, destroy the homes. He killing off the babies. His hand has been all throughout it, but it was on television of adultery, the movies. They would praise the adulterous woman, or they would praise this divorce. It was like at one point in time, it used to be the good guy wins, and now lately it's the bad guy wins, and gloom and doom, or we have to understand why the Joker is just so freaking evil. You know what I mean? It's become to a point where we're living in the times where people are saying what's bad is good and what's good is bad. But I agree. I agree because the church had a lot to do with it, because the church is the salt. Like, we are the salt. The church should have been there to tell folks, you're going to hell, right? Because that's adultery. And the preacher is supposed to be winning souls to Christ, getting these folks to give their life over to Christ, repenting of their sins. When you marry somebody else, it's a sin, it's adultery. When you're having sex out of wedlock, it's fornication, it's a sin. And you're absolutely right. The church should have been condoning and basically saying these are the reasons why we are born. You're supposed to be teaching these men to be men and these women to be women and having godly households. So you're right. Yes, you're absolutely right. And even if they do know, they still should be hearing it anyway, just because. We have to study the word to show ourselves to be approved. Like we never cease to stop praying. Yep. So you're absolutely right. But I hope that in a nutshell that people need to understand just how serious it is. But anyway, it was great speaking to you guys. We're texting back and forth and talking to y'all. We're not texting, but reading y'all comments. Yeah. Anyway, y'all have a blessed day today. But I think, not think, I think everyone needs to get sound doctrine and good counsel when it comes to the dating scene of the whole purpose of this is to get married. Anyway, y'all have a blessed night tonight.